All right, so I'm back again out of the dumpster and into the world. Toxic Rain Fan of the Month for, I think it's August or July. It's probably August. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's this month we're doing. I chose Tyrel, Dressler, because, well, I've known Tyrel for a long time, a few years now. I played in a band called Vexer with him. He was the drummer. He's a kick-ass drummer. There's a drum set behind us, if you can't see it very well. But the main reason why I chose him is because he's slowly working on our merch. Actually, he's very fastly working on our merch, to be honest. And that's really awesome of him. I mean, I know I paid him and all, but yeah. So I have to ask you that too, Tyrell. I guess the first question would be, I mean, I know I paid you, but do you do merchandise for many other bands?
No, not really.
Okay.
Haven't been. I would, but no, I haven't been.
Okay. So what? I know you know me, pretty well. That's probably one, but I'm sure you probably wouldn't do much merch for bands you probably didn't like too much. Well, I guess as long as they paid you, I mean. But
no,
still,
I've turned down bands before, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Did they? They probably didn't offer much money anyways, did they?
Well, no. I mean, it's whatever, like, I quote, and then sometimes it's ends up being lower than whatever they can pay. But no, I've turned down bands just because I didn't really like.
Well, that makes me feel special. Maybe
like, because I was busy anyway, and it's like, well, I don't really give a shit about this, and I don't like the shirt, and I don't want to do it. So.
Okay, well, so I mean, how many times have you seen us live? You just see our first show.
Just the first one at Rocky Records.
Okay, see, one's all you need, whatever. But because there's some fans out there who've been to every show, but once again, they just need to call me. We need to hook up. We need to do this. But yeah, I guess one of the normal questions I ask is why do you like Toxic Rain in general? I guess.
That's a good question. Well, I know you guys, but that's kind of a lame reason. The biggest thing is, especially that first show. Like, I'd already heard some of your stuff, although it didn't have drums, and I hadn't heard you singing on it, although I've heard you sing before. But the first show was some great energy. There was some really actually unique stuff, even though it sounded like somehow you guys had made it sound like the last 20 years hadn't happened. And yet it still didn't sound like you were referencing, like, oh, these guys did the riff like this, so we'll do this. It still had a unique vibe to it, but it still sounded like authentic thrash with really good... I mean, there's some authentic thrash that I don't get that excited about, or as excited about. It's a spectrum of excitement. And there's a lot of energy, good riffs, awesome vocals. I've seen some of the lyrics, so those are cool too. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think when we were trying out drummers, I mean, once again, he's in Vexer, so he's busy with that. He's busy with making stickers and whatever. That's your job, really.
Yeah.
Is and but during that time, you actually broke your arm skateboarding, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Still got the scar.
And a 4-inch plate.
Yeah. So you were still recovering. Actually, I myself was trying to stop you because I was afraid, like, you were in the middle of healing, and I was like, I don't want you to not heal. That would not be cool.
Yeah, I think I was pushing myself too hard at that time, but whatever.
Yeah, fun. You had I think you were taking some painkillers because, geez, that looked like it hurt.
I had a lot of painkillers.
Yeah. I think that one time me and Zach came here to jam, you were already asleep in here, just laying down on the ground. And
yeah,
we were just like, I was just like, damn, dude, you okay? And she's like, oh, I'll be fine. And you woke right up. It was funny, but yeah,
I wasn't really ready to play drums yet then.
But I mean, I knew you were good, and that's all that mattered. We tried, but I mean, you were busy with stuff, so it doesn't matter. We found a drummer, but
Can it tell that I'm not wearing pants?
I know you're a great drummer, so that's all that matters with the whole broken arm
thanks,
thing.
man.
So, and somewhere down the line, I want to do side projects, and this guy, just be looking for this guy. I mean, we like some of the same type of metal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know if you remember. Another question I ask is about if you have favorite songs or whatever.
Favorite songs of your guys'?
Yeah. Do you remember any of them, or do you just know that one that sounds like this, or?
No, well, lyrically, and I recognized it when I heard you guys play it because I had that CD.
Mm-hmm.
So the Fucked Wealth one, I like.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you played that Total Thrashing Death at that show.
No, I think we play that every show.
Okay,
so
well then...
You got one of the first early recordings at LJ. He's the last fan of the month. We did just a scrappy sounding demo with just guitar leads. And I think you got the one without vocals too, even. So
yeah, it was.
So you were. That's another thing. You've been there from the very beginning. So I mean, one of those guys who were there and seeing the progress. What do you particularly, like about, say, Total Thrashing Death or Fucked Wealth? I mean, why are they your favorites?
Well, for Fucked Wealth, I like the subject matter, for one. And it's a cool song. And then it's got, both of them have this kind of groove that kind of stands out and doesn't, I wouldn't call them grooving songs, but there is an underlying groove that makes them kind of unique. And Total Thrashing Death is some total thrashing deaths. I like that. Some good aggression, lots of energy. Makes
nice.
You want to, go kind of crazy and break things. I like that.
Well, that's what I'm all about. I don't know, partying and breaking things and political subject matter. That's what Fucked Wealth was about. Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is I want to go with you. You haven't been to a lot of the shows, but that's okay. You're doing like I said, you're doing our merch, and I guess that's one thing too. Like, do you like the type of stuff we picked out, and do you are you enjoying the subject matter you're working with? The T-shirts, stickers, patches, all that.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I like it a lot. The first logo, the slime one, that one's really awesome. I like that one a lot. The second one, dude, it's gonna look really cool. It was just like a lot of work getting it print ready to get all the colors in there, but dude, it's again, it's like partly like the last 20 years haven't happened, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good music in that time period too, but I don't need it in my thrash all the time.
I understand. The other big question that I like to ask too is, see, with me, I have a big, long, drawn out story of how I got into metal and how it changed my life and how I blah blah. And some other people are just like, yeah, I just liked it, which is fine. But I know you have to have some sort of story of how you. I mean, you can tell a long version. I don't give a shit. You're originally from Nevada, right?
Yeah.
Reno, right?
Well, Gardnerville.
Okay, so Reno
it's like
area.
Olympia to Seattle.
Okay, all right.
Gardnerville to Reno.
Okay, so you're originally from there, and I know you played in some bands there, but I mean, what made you? I mean, like drums especially, just everything. What got you into metal? All this stuff.
Well, I think the first music that, like the first particular genre, when I started getting into music was like radio music, and I was like, well, this one's kind of cool, and then the next song, and I don't like this song, and then the next song would come on and be like, yeah, there's something about this that I like. But that was not really a particular genre. And I think the first type of music that I liked, that I got into, was punk music. And it was in the 90s, so there was various flavors of punk and hardcore and crust and power violence that was being played at that time. So I got into that, and some of the first vinyl records were like mail order, where you actually like write down from their catalog the record that you want and send cash in, and then they'll send you the records and be like, this one wasn't available, so they'll give you cash back, or you'll list alternatives.
Nice.
So I have a bunch of vinyl from that time that seems to have disappeared. I mean, you don't order records like that anymore. So some of the first bands, I don't even know. There's so many different ones, and some are political, like buying stuff from Profane Existence or Tribal War Records, to power violence like Slap-A-Ham Records and Clean Plate and Satan's Pimp, which was in Reno. That was Iron Lungs label. Anyway, that doesn't matter. And then, so that was like the first one I really got into. Right before that, I went to a record store and fucking randomly got Hell Awaits. I'd heard of Slayer. I think Diablos was out at that time, and I heard a couple songs and thought it was okay. So I got Hell Awaits, and it wasn't what I quite expected. It actually scared the shit out of me. I was a really young guy, and that is still one of the most evil and satanic, like, lyrically, and it just seriously scared the shit out of me. Like, I was like, who the fuck are these guys? What the fuck do they do on their spare time? And, like, what the fuck is going on in the world? Like, it opened up this new realm, and I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. So instead of going straight that way, I kind of went around where I got into other music that I could kind of relate to more, because punk was starting to be a teenager, and it's a little bit more angsty, and you're like, don't tell me what to do, and like, parents suck, like that Descendants song and stuff like that. So like, I could relate to that a little bit more than whatever Slayer was singing about, although now I appreciate it, although I don't think they're that serious.
No,
I don't
of
take
course
it
not.
that serious. So I went that way and started listening to more kind of, I guess, aggressive. It's distorted, obviously, fast. And it started to kind of overlap. I see an overlap. Some people draw like an arbitrary line between punk and metal, but I started to see an overlap where it was like, this sounds like punk, or there's elements of metal in it, and the other genre can't just pretend that the other one doesn't exist. They're pulling influences from it, and I appreciate them both, so it doesn't really matter to me. And then,
So that was your beginning, basically, on how you got in everything?
roughly, yeah, something like that.
You said you played in a few bands in the Reno area. Now, name a few or name all of them if you want. I don't really care. I mean,
Yeah, sure. Well, the first one that like me and my friends got into was called Tube Sock Avengers, and it was a metal band before I actually started getting into punk. So I was doing singing, but I didn't really know that much about it. The guitarist knew more than me.
was that the one where you showed me a video where you guys were playing?
Yeah.
And you
Did I show you that?
you showed me a little bit of it, and you said
I have the only video. I won't let it get out there at all.
Oh, okay. That's sad, but I mean,
I hijacked it.
all right.
Yeah.
Then you say that like they shut your set down because people started to mosh and they didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It
pretty
sucked.
cool to brag about. Like, yeah, we would have finished our set, but people just got too out of control.
It was fun. It was just like a battle of the bands kind of thing. I think we were like 13 or something, like maybe.
Dude, you were doing more at 13 than I ever was. Okay, so you started at 13 playing in that band,
Yeah.
and then what was next? Do you remember? Or
Yeah. Then the drummer also played guitar, Guans, and we started a really awful, just terrible punk band. I have a demo of that too. It's just so terrible.
which one was that?
It's called The Outraged.
Okay.
We played at a couple coffee houses. And,
Was it like kind of spastic stuff, or?
well, that's one of the things that was wrong with it, was we didn't really know all that much. Like, we had some idea of, like, there's the Exploited, or there's Capitalist Casualties, or, like, Code 13. We had this weird mishmash of, like, bands that we'd heard, and we'd take a little bit, and so we didn't know what the fuck. It was just, dude, it's like one song will be really, I like one song on that demo, but it doesn't sound like any of the other songs.
So, you go into a coffee house where usually like acoustic stuff, and you guys are just up there spastically.
Yeah, well, they'd have other kind of bands. We played with, there's a ska band, Red Light District, I think, yeah, with like a saxophone, maybe a trumpet player. We played with them, and another band from Carson, so, yeah, it was weird, but, yeah.
So,
We stole the stage that we played on from the Mormon church. And I think the cops came a couple times because one of our friends was throwing bottles at a car, and someone smoked weed in the bathroom, and they got all pissed about that. Which, anyway,
see, this is stories that I would love to hear.
I
don't.
have videos from those days too.
What was the band that you?
That one, When Unicorns Attack.
Was that the big one that you guys played a lot of shows?
Yeah, we did play a lot of shows actually, and
No, what kind of stuff was that?
that was more like a thrash death metal. But
Nice.
Sky, the keyboardist, so we had keyboards too. So I don't know what we were. It was really weird. We like to have a lot of fun.
Dude,
it was a big kind of party show.
That's what it's all about, man. I mean,
fuck yeah, that one was awesome. There's 5 of us in that, and we played with other bands in Reno. I don't know how many are still around. I don't even
and you
remember
played
all.
drums in that band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've told me some stories. Like you don't have to name the names because nobody's gonna know them anyways, even if you say them.
That's true.
Who was the guy that you said that like pissed in a beer can or something and then thought it was beer?
That was Scott. That was well, I'm sure he's been that drunk before, but that was he was in rare form that night.
So tell him the story. That was funny.
Well, drinking at these shows, before the shows, not during because we were playing, if possible, someone would come up and pour a beer in my mouth or something maybe. It was just mad, or after the show. So I mean, we were always pretty well inebriated during these sets. And Scott one night, we drove up in a Dodge van. We all put our stuff in a 68 Dodge van that already had 300,000 miles on it. So then we'd all drive that back home, crammed into this van. And it was after the show one night, and we had some beers in the van, and Scott finished his, and he was fucking drunk that night. And he turned around, and he, like, scoots over towards the amps, and he pees in his... He takes a piss in the can, which was like a 24 tall can, and he turns back around and he doesn't say anything, and he's like, "Oh man, I thought I drank my whole beer," and we're like, "You did, you peed in it," but he's not listening, and he's like, "I thought I drank it all," and he starts like pouring it, and we're like, "No," and he's like, "No, this is mine," and he starts splashing it on himself. He does drink a little bit, and he's like, "This is weird and warm," and it was just an unfortunate event that happened.
Did you say you did it a couple of times? Like
Yeah.
You tried to stop him,
I think
but
we
you
did.
just, like...
We got it away from him eventually, and he, realized the full weight with embarrassment later of what he had done.
Of course, later, especially with someone like me around who's the sober one. Like, guess what you did last night? I didn't drink my own piss. Like, oh yeah, you did, man.
Well, we were all pretty drunk. I don't know if we had a sober one. I'm sure. Maybe the driver
Even the
was.
driver.
I don't remember who was driving. I'd like to think that they were sober, but I couldn't.
There was like some like
you.
homeless guy driving. You guys just didn't even remember.
Dude, that reminds me. One more story.
Dude,
We had
go ahead, man.
We had a unicorn mask it was like the unicorn mascot, and either Sky or Andrew would wear it. And it wasn't your typical unicorn mask. It was like a morbid zombie unicorn.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know where the fuck this thing came from, but it was like we decided on the name when unicorns attack, and then the next week we found this mask. And we were like, amazing, so we'll wear that. And we were standing outside the show, after the show one night, and a homeless guy on 4th Street comes up and he's like, "Hey, let me see that." And Andrew's like, "Yeah, sure." And he's just like, "Woo!" and runs away. And he takes off up the street faster than I've ever seen a homeless person move. And we were chasing after him, and he knew the alleys and the fucking secret passageways, and he was just gone.
Probably on speed or something.
I don't know. It didn't look like he was going to be able to run away with it, or maybe we wouldn't have done that, but we never saw it again. So if you see a homeless person in Reno with a unicorn mask, take it away.
That'd be fun if he's actually just around in Reno, just still with that mask on.
Well, I guess that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Death Squadron, your band?
Yeah,
We got to talk about Death Squadron just for a second. Did you do that with somebody in Nevada, or?
Yeah. I was the same guy that was in, he was the guitarist for Unicorns Attack. We had Tube Sock Avengers. We probably had we had Shoes to Dance In. That was like a really ridiculous bowling alley music, we called it. I don't know what that means.
What was the inspiration for Death Squadron? I gotta ask, like, was it just like, hey man, let's do something really goofy and insane?
Sort of. We found, I had a red Fisher Price keyboard.
That's what that was?
Like the just fucking bare bones stock electronic Fisher Price keyboard from the early 80s. And then we picked up a Yamaha, I forget what, an early 80s Yamaha drum machine.
I'm tempted to put that on the internet just because, like on YouTube, because every time I listen to it, when I do get around to listening to it,
put some on this video.
It's so funny, man. Like, I mean, it sounds like something I was too afraid to do when I was younger. Like, I want to do something like it. It's not really metal. It's not really rock. It's just goofy music where it sounds like a Nintendo game's going on, and then you guys say random things like, what'd you say? Like Clint Eastwood and an angry mob cannot stop the Death Squad.
Yeah, we tried not to script it. We just tried to go with it.
And
but we weren't trying to make good music. It intentionally started as, like, we just recorded it on a tape deck. And we were trying, it started out with the mission of making the worst music we could possibly make.
Yes.
And that was kind of, I mean, that's subjective, because we didn't like a lot of electronic music or techno. There's this band, that doesn't matter. But, And it sucked. So we were trying to make something like that, and we thought it would just be fucking awful and make you want to cringe or like just go crazy, but not in a good way. Just like really, just not want to be alive anymore or something. Not really, but so we were gonna do that and then like send demos to like big record companies just for the hell of it, because we had a lot of time on our hands, I guess. So we were gonna send
that would
those
have been
out.
awesome, man. Because like they would have been like, "What the fuck?" Like, come on, you
It
have to
could have
mess
been
with those
huge.
people.
Maybe they would have found some
That would have been fun. Dude, that should
potential in that.
That's a movie we got to make someday, like a
So-
random ass movie, like all these record producers are just like, what the hell, and then one just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And just.
Well, I don't know if anyone had that response, but we probably played that. That almost took over. That like will drive you crazy. So we played that for a while, like more than we played other stuff. Like we'd have plans for the day, and we just end up playing Death Squadron. But, dude, I have tapes and tapes and tapes of undigitized Death Squadron material.
So what you gave me was just the best of the best.
That's all that I have digitized so far. There's
worst of the worst.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
guess. There's tapes and yeah, I have a bunch more material that I don't know what to do with it. So
you're one of the perfect guys to interview because you just all around have played the most annoying, gruesome music you can. I mean, thrash, punk, death metal, that weird Death Squadron stuff. But I like that because it's nothing radio played. It's all nothing that would ever be played on the radio.
well, and we didn't know. We were like, we'll just make really bad electronic music, but we didn't know any electronic bands really. So there was like no electronic music influence other than we were playing on electronic instruments. But like, I think there's a couple like I know for a fact that there's not actually correctly transcribed, but like kind of played by ear Black Sabbath riffs that we put in there, like Slayer or something like that. So we didn't know what we were doing.
Oh, okay. But the thing is, like, what helps me and you get along? Okay, I started playing in a band with this guy. We practiced in this room, and it's really weird when you first get into a band and you're trying to get to know people. Like, you were probably the first one that I actually really connected with because you kept like I didn't go into the house part of his house here until I was in the band for a little bit. He kept bringing in these records. I'm like, okay, this is rad, or what, like some super rare records, and I'm just like, dude. And I finally one night I was just like, we just need to hang out. So we hung out. We went to what's the pizza place we
Old
always
School
go?
Pizza. I think.
Old School
That was
Pizza
really good.
in Olympia. Check that place out. It's awesome.
Some
But
good pie.
I'm sitting in his living room, and he keeps pulling out records from everywhere. I think he pulled one out of his ass. It was crazy. It's a crazy magic trick. I mean, he had some behind his couch, under his couch, I think, and over there by the kitchen. I think he opened up some cover. There's one in the fridge.
It's out of control. It really is.
No, I was stoked because you kept pulling out really cool stuff, and you would, like, you had a bunch of burnt CDs. Like, dude, just have all these, and countless bands you got me into. I know Cyclone was one. Who else?
Cyclone's the first one you think of. Yeah, they're cool.
What other ones did you? There were so many.
I don't know. You heard of some already.
It's a big thing where we connect is we're music collectors. I just slowly you actually encouraged me even more to start my record collecting even more, and I have a ton of CDs, ton of tapes. So does he. There's tapes over there too, but.
I got some records here actually. This was the first actual intentional record that I got. That was metal. That was awesome. Nuclear Assault.
Just in case if they don't see it, we're gonna right there and right here. Yeah,
So,
this one, I love all Nuclear Assault stuff, but that was come on,
Yeah.
early Nuclear Game Over, and then the one when I downloaded it, but I'm sure anytime you buy it, they will put that one at the end of Game Over.
yeah, no,
Like-
that one's fucking awesome. Oh, and then another one. I'll take it out so it doesn't glare as much. English Dogs, which started as a punk band, and this one's crossover in a way, but not crossover like you think, like URI or Suicidal Tendencies or anything like that. It's these punks could play some fucking metal though. There's some awesome shit on here, and it's like in between. It still sounds really punk, and then there's some fucking mystical guitar solos and really thrashing parts, and so I started to like both from all kinds of different elements, from like grindcore to something like this.
Nice.
With the darkness, did you hear? Not the ones.
Yeah,
one.
not the real darkness. I think you weren't the first one to tell me about this, but you're the first one to actually have the record.
Oh, okay.
The record. I mean, darkness. I mean, I never saw the real darkness, not the gay one from the early 2000s. But look at these pictures. Like if I can see, if the camera can see this. Like I look at this, I'm like, this is what thrash is. This guy has bullet belts. He has the leather jacket and denim vest over it. Like that's got to be hot.
Does he have the really thin mustache? No.
I think he does, but you can't really see it. And this guy has a shirt that says "Give me some Motorhead." I mean, that's great. And an old that DRI shirt had to be like custom made or something. I mean, so that's
How
the.
about this one? There.
Oh, good lord. He introduced me to Siege's Even. This changed my fucking life, people. Life.
That's such an awesome.
This
record.
is.
It's pretty out of control.
I can't even explain how insane this shit is. You think technical? No, this is technical shit right here.
Cover.
But the cover's really weird, but it just goes along with the music. They're like thrash, but it's like thrash from another dimension. It's.
There you go.
Like imagine if the main corner already came from another dimension, but imagine even weirder and more technical than that.
Well, I had to put that there because that's that one
Exodus, Pleasures of the Flesh. That
I liked. Right
very
away.
very underrated actually, because when you think of Exodus, yeah, I think it is because when people talk about Exodus, you tend to think, oh, Bonded by Blood, or you think of The Fabulous Disaster because it has Toxic Waltz on it.
Yeah.
But when you read a real Exodus fan with Pleasures of the Flesh on
That's
vinyl,
a good fucking album. I mean, I wouldn't want to, knock the other two.
but yeah, no,
Once
I mean,
you listen to the other two a bunch, and then you're really happy with this one. I like this one. But Heathen, that was one of the first ones too. That's why I put that in the stack here.
This one, you know what? Goblin's Blade. I had a friend of mine. I mean, Jack from Sort of Judgment. He got me into Heathen, but it was a victims of deception. Excuse me. I had a friend at a concert. He was like, one of the shows. He's like, that album's awesome, but have you heard the first one? I said no, and he said, go home and listen to Goblin's Blade.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. So
That's a great one. I like it.
This one was the joke.
Why play around?
Yeah, Wargasm. Why play around?
Why play around?
I mean, this is the joke because he had this in practice one day when I was still in Bexter, and that was one of our. Every once in a while we'd have a joke where we keep going with, and that was one like he would look at Tyrel, look at me like, let's just why play around? I'm like, yeah, why play around? And I tried to do the same thing with Jason from Skeletor. It was on Facebook in the comments, and I did that. I said, Jason, why play around? He's like, well, maybe you might end up like that clown there if you keep playing around. And I actually didn't notice that first.
Well,
I didn't notice. I thought the clown was just all creepy in the corner, but he's actually like.
I'd have to see his hands to see if there's spray paint on his hands, because I wonder if he did it, and then someone that really hates graffiti was like, you fucking kids ruined the neighborhood with your graffiti, and they lynched him up, because I know graffiti is a pretty big problem in some neighborhoods. So I can't officially say if they attacked him and then put that on the wall, or if he put it on the wall and, like a neighborhood kind of watch guy or just a local guy was like, fucking graffiti, and they attacked him. And this one's in awful condition, but and I've heard some people that didn't like it, but I bought it right away.
Dude, Hollow's Eve, this one,
like that one.
Monument. This has Speed Freak on it.
And Rot Gut.
Rot Cut. They're not the Judas Priest version, but they have a song called Painkiller and the Mighty Decibel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great.
But their version of Queen's Sheer Heart Attack was when I once again this is one of the bands that I downloaded all their albums, and I saw that, and when that started I loved that Queen song Sheer Heart Attack, and when they did it in their own Hallows Eve weird way, and I loved it. But Speed Freak, there's another joke about that with me and Jack from Sort of Judgment, his girlfriend Esther. we were talking about it one day. They said, "Doesn't it sound like he's saying spring break in that song?" It's like, and then I had to listen to it again. I was like, "Oh, it kind of
I
does."
never thought of that. Of not thrash, but still good metal. That was one. It's black metal. I don't say that disparagingly. I really like this one.
Dark Throne, right?
Raising the Northern Sky. That was probably one of the first black metal records I got. It's not my favorite subgenre, but it's a fucking great record.
I'm not big on black metal, but you know, I gotta hand it to the grittiness and nastiness of it. This guy on this cover looks like he's flying out of the sky, like on the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Lost Boys' worst nightmare right here. This vampire's coming out of the sky and face paint and all.
So yeah, that one. I mean, it's not like I don't know, some kind of epic black metal. It doesn't sound very pretty like some black metal that was. Well, I got this in the early 2000s, and there's like a bunch of symphonic shit, and there's no symphonic stuff in this. So it wasn't quite what I expected, but sure do fucking like it. Still like that one. And then this was one of the first, like, this one's just fucking ridiculous. So I got this at Lake Tahoe.
Bongzilla?
Yeah, Bongzilla. There's a great record store in Lake Tahoe called Mad About Music that always has some good stuff. And I picked up this just because it was called fucking Bongzilla.
Is it thrash or what is it?
No, this is like I guess you could call it doom, but it's not really like traditional doom. It's more like sludgy.
Grim Reaper.
Yeah, it's just like smoking tons of pot. They got some harsh vocals. They got some Sabbath-y style riffs. And they're shooting down a DEA helicopter. It's like the worst CGI ever. And then on the back, it's crashing. Like, that's like Nintendo 64 graphics. But it's fucking so awesome.
I'm not a dick. I'm gonna say, you
I'm
know,
not a dick.
I'm not a dick. Dot.
You're
I'm
a dick.
not randomly. I'm not randomly saying that. I'm just saying I'm not a dick. So I'm gonna say, you can support Vexer all you want right here, and not just because I'm actually on the demo singing, but I'm screaming as loud as I can. Called Vexer demo. Sorry, upside down. And this is the tape he came out with, and you painted those chains around the world yourself, didn't you?
I did.
You did all this yourself, actually. He ordered the tapes, and they all come with stickers. Here's one. Stickers, because he makes stickers for a living. And it's a picture of some guy in a crazy mask and whatnot. It's really cool. I mean, if you're a collector, and where can they go to get this besides me or you?
Just search for Vexer on Bandcamp. That's where we're selling it from at the moment. I don't know.
Download at bandcamp.com/yum.
Yeah.
That's Tyrel, and you're going to be wearing some of the shirts soon that he made or is going to make. And yeah, I probably better go home and wash off this dumpster smell. I don't know, you haven't thrown it up yet. I'm just kidding. I don't think it smells that bad. But, oh, okay. No, but yeah, that's Tyrel, the fan of the month for August or September or July. One of those.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.